Hey everyone! Long time no video. Actually, it's been about a month and it's already the end of March, which is kind of crazy because where'd March go? I feel like I was saying that about February when February happened. But anyways, I'm coming to you with a recap of all of the books that I listened to and read. I actually physically read and finished one book, which is a huge accomplishment for me considering I have all these books to be read and I always go back to audiobooks. So anyways, I wanted to let you know the books that I listened to and read and my ratings of them and how I thought and if I would recommend them, etc. So here we go. The very first one that I listened to was Force of Nature, which is by Jane Harper. And this is actually part of a series, the Erin Falk series. And this was actually book number 2. So yeah, I kind of didn't know that going into it, but it kind of read as a standalone book. I just didn't know much about the detective characters because this book series focuses on the detective characters, and that's the tying thing throughout the series. So Erin Falk is actually one of the detectives. But anyway, this book was really interesting, and what drew me to it was the premise of it and also the fact that it's Australian. I have been wanting to branch into the world of Australian authors and narrators, so decided to go for it as I've exhausted the British authors of thrillers. Unless you guys think of any like thrilling British authors, UK authors, give me these suggestions. But anyway, so this one, the cool thing about it was basically like these co-workers that all work for this company all have to do like an Australian walkabout where they all, it's men and women, but they split up into 2 groups, the women's group and the men's group. And there's like high up people in corporate, but then there's also like, you know, admin people, and they all have to go together and camp out together in the wilderness and find these clues and then get to the finish line. But one person goes missing. So for me, I was like, ooh, like, is there really some tension within the coworker group and they end up killing someone? So the one that goes missing is named Alice. And side note, 3 books that I read / listened to this month had characters named Alice. Alice is actually my favorite name in the whole entire world. If I ever had a daughter, I would want to name her Alice. Alice is just my favorite name. But anyway, if I could change my name, it would be Alice. But yeah, I ended up rating this a 3. The reason why is because I think it's because I didn't have book 1 read, and there were a lot of like things that just kind of disconnected, but then also I lost a little bit of interest in it just because it felt like it was dragging on. And then once again, there were these other characters that I wanted to know more about, and they were kind of brushed aside. And I feel like that tends to happen a lot in the thrillers that I choose. So I wanted to kind of find more about these sister characters, and they kind of like go, that storyline just is so quick because there's 2 sisters that work together that are twins, and I kind of want to know like more about them, and they like tell the whole story in like less than a chapter. So but yeah, you find out what happens and everything, and overall it was neat. I really enjoyed the Australian kind of vibe of it because like I said, I have not really read anything by an Australian author, and I found it fascinating because let's be honest, any country that's not the United States is fascinating to me. So yeah, there's that. Anyways, the very next one I went for was actually recommended from, I want to say that I found out a bit by the Books in the Freezer. Stephanie from That's What She Read. I think she was the one who originally had read this, and I'd put it on my Libby app as a hold, and it finally came in. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to this. Little did I know that this would cause me some really bad nightmares. I've never really been super affected by horror and that genre when it comes to like supernatural demons, monsters, aliens. Oh my. But when it's humans and humans, I just don't do well with that. So this follows a husband and husband couple and their adopted daughter Wen, who is Chinese American. And no, she's Chinese, but she goes to America. But anyway, it follows Eric and Andrew and Wen, and they decide they want to stay at a cabin in, I believe it's either Massachusetts or New Hampshire, for the summertime. And while they're there, you get the perspective of everybody. And they're out there, and suddenly they're kind of sort of attacked, but not really, by these four people who this isn't really like a spoiler because you kind of find out about it really early on. These four people that force them to choose them to sacrifice one of their family. They need to kill one of the three of them in order to stop the apocalypse and the end of times, like biblical type style. And they like say like, oh, you know, there's going to be a sickness, there's going to be an earthquake, there's going to be a typhoon and bugs and all this shit. And it's really, really interesting to see these characters fight for survival, their love for one another and the love for their daughter, and also to get kind of like the mindset of the four people that have kidnapped them. But it gave me some real bad nightmares. I had some really, really bad nightmares. So for that, I'm giving it a 4. No, actually I'm giving it a 4 because I hated the ending. So there's that, and I can't give that away. But if you kind of like this, like, fight to save your family or fight to save your kids or your significant other kind of storyline, but also like an apocalyptic biblical type of story, then The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay is for you. I don't think I'll be reading any more of Paul Tremblay. I'll just be honest with that. The next book that I finished, I'm very proud of my accomplishment. I finally finished Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I'd started it in December, picked it up periodically, and then finally binge read the F out of it, because I finally got into it. And I really, really love Victor, and I am kind of obsessed with his character. I love him. And as soon as I finished it, I immediately picked up Vengeful, but I then stopped. So I finally finished it. I gave it a 4 because I hated Eli, but I loved Victor, and I just didn't like the back and forth timeline of flashback to flash forward, and the same thing is happening in Vengeful, and it's really, really hard for me to follow. It's super confusing, especially when it's in a physical book. I'm having a lot of trouble. It's been literally putting me to sleep. But that, that's okay. And then I listened to the book Sweet Little Lies by Kaz Freer, who is another UK author, of course, with a UK narrator. And this is part of the Kat Kinsella series. And this was actually book number 1, so I did something right for a change. But anyway, this was an interesting story about a female cop. They have certain term for cops in the UK that is not cop. But anyway, it's about her, and a woman's found murdered named Alice. And they're trying to solve this murder, but also they're finding out a lot about it. But meanwhile, when Kat, the cop, was younger, one of her sister's friends disappeared, and it's seeming like these two things may possibly be linked, and members of family may be involved. So I don't want to go too much into it. I gave this one a 3-star. It's not my favorite. When you get so used to listening to like Lisa Joel and Ruth Ware and even like Karen Slaughter, you get so used to that style of writing. This one was just kind of lacking a little bit. I didn't mind it. Would I pick up the next one? Probably, because I like the character of Kat. She suffers from a lot of anxiety, which I kind of can relate to. So yeah, I might pick up the next one. who knows? Not terrible. And then the last one, which I literally just finished this morning and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to rate it yet, is The Magicians by Lev Grossman. I actually have a physical copy of the book, but I decided to listen to it on audio because it was available. What sparked this is I started watching the show again on Netflix, but like season 3 of it, and was so lost and was like, why did I like this show again? And then I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have the books. Then also I had found the second book for $5 at Barnes & Noble and bought it the other day. Not the other day, but this month. So I thought, why the heck not? I think I will go ahead and, you know, read the book and then start the show back over. The books are amazing. Well, book 1 is amazing and is a hell of a lot better than the show. One thing I will tell you is that the age of the characters is totally different in the book versus the show, and I think I appreciate that more. In the show, it's on Sci-Fi Network, so it's geared more towards adults. So they're like graduate student age, whereas in the book, they're high school going into college, and then they go to college. If you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, The Magicians basically follows a bunch of kids from New York, and they end up getting into this school to teach them magic. Not like Harry Potter magic. There's actually a lot of references to Harry Potter, which I find very funny. But they go to school to learn to be magicians. And it's just kind of like the struggles of growing up and being in college and also learning magic. And they're, at the same time, they're obsessed with this, well, one character, Quentin, is obsessed with this book series called Fillory and Further, which is basically like, let's be honest, when we were in that age group, we were all obsessed with Harry Potter. And it's like, I wish that the world of Harry Potter was real. And so he's kind of like, I wish that Fillory was real. So, and then it kind of ties into that in magic and relationships and friendships and all of that. So I loved it. I have no idea what I'm going to rate it. I'm thinking more of a 4, but I have no idea. So I guess we'll see. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't think 5 books is bad at all. I have to go back. I don't even remember what I did last month, but 5 books, not bad at all. I think the next video I'm going to do is a March haul. Yeah, just books that I acquired in the month of March. It'll be a short one, but I did get some books in March. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. Feel free to give me some recommendations for audiobooks. I am getting LASIK surgery at the end of May, and I won't be able to see for a few days because I have to get the one that takes a longer time to heal because my vision sucks. So audiobooks are going to be my life, and I think my May wrap-up is going to be a doozy. So please recommend me your audiobook recommendations. I prefer British and Australian or full cast. If that gives you any kind of indication. But thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like and share. Check out all my social media links in the description box. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching. See you all later. Okay, bye.